When operational issues happen, time is of the essence. Did you know Kindle support engineers have resolved issues up to 80% faster using Amazon Q Developer and Amazon CloudWatch? Accelerate your operational investigations now.
Hey, hope you're all doing well today. If you see my audio being really clear, I have a brand new mic and I really like it. I hope you like it too. Hey, welcome to the AWS Cloud Operations Show. This is episode 13. My name is Amir Kumar Jagannathan, and I lead the worldwide specialist cloud operations solution architect team at AWS. And today, as you see on the banner, we're going to talk a lot about AI and how AI can be used to develop, test, operate, and kind of deploy applications on the cloud. And we're gonna see some hands-on demos. We're going to build some apps live while we stream the show. And we're going to have a couple of experts who literally live and breathe GenAI and use that for the next generation developer experience at AWS. Without further ado, let me introduce our guests here. Hey, folks, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Maya.
All right, MJ, do you want to give a quick intro?
Sure thing, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is MJ Kuba. I'm one of the solution architects here in Next Gen Developer Experience team. Focused on Amazon Q Developer and Kira. Been here for about 5 years. Actually, we started at the same day, Preetam and myself. So we've been here 5 years plus. Yeah, nice meeting you all.
Hey, it's Priyatham, same as MJ. We're in the same team in the specialist SA org. We focus on Q. I'm also looking at mostly agentic big agent tools. There's a couple of exciting tools around cloud operations tools as well. So yeah, lots of agentic AI development and been around for 5+ years and excited to be on this call.
Awesome. First of all, thank you for being on the show. I'm pretty thrilled about this. This is really exciting. And yes, I see a message from Gaurav saying hello from Barcelona. Hey, Gaurav. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy this episode. You guys live and breathe GenAI and how developers can optimally use GenAI for all kinds of use cases and purposes. That's you're living on the edge. Let's say that, right? And by the way, I'm live streaming from Atlanta, Georgia, and MJ, you're in Chicago, right?
Correct. Yep. Chicago.
Yeah. Okay. And Priyatham, you are
San
on the West Coast, San Francisco. Yeah, sorry, I keep forgetting. All right, all 3 different time zones, and we have audiences from all different places as well, which is great. Awesome, thank you. And folks, if you're watching, those that are watching this show live, feel free to ask questions because we're gonna the more interactive it is, the more we learn together, and it's always great to share the knowledge, and we love engaging with you directly on this kind of platforms. Okay, and of course we're gonna go build and develop applications and deploy and do lots of cool and crazy stuff. Before we get there, let's kind of set the platform. What exactly is the generative AI story at AWS, and what are the different things that we have that we want customers to know about, like in the different layers where they can, what customers can make use of with GenAI?
Yeah, sure thing. Can go to my screen?
Sure. Yeah. Obviously, it has to happen. It's a live stream. You have to make mistakes.
Yeah. So we have many layers to the GenAI conversation. If you just want to have an application that's working, so in the top layer, you can see application that uses LLM and other foundation model. We have the Amazon Q family of Amazon Q Business, Developer, QuickSight, and Connect. QuickSight is our business intelligence unit. You can just ask question in plain English, and it will give you dashboard or build the dashboard for you and give you the results. Connect is our software-defined call center. The same thing, Q is there. For Q Developer and Q Business, you have a simple chat integrate where you can, for business as an example, ask question, how can I apply for benefits when I join this new company? It will give you the details, and then this is the link for it. Developer will go a bit more in detail on it today. But if you actually want to build these type of software, if you have a different idea and you want to go and talk to the LLMs and build your own application, we have Bedrock, where it gives you a place, a studio, and where you can have a guardrails, you can have your agent, and can have your API all integrated in one way. Sorry, did I lose you for a second? Sorry about that.
No, you're good. It's a little bit. There was a small interruption, but you're still good.
Awesome. So we can write your software, write your API, and then if you want to change to a different model, change to a different provider for a model, all you have to change is small variables and maybe tweak it for like temperature and PK and top K and stuff like that. You don't have to change your API. You don't have to change everything about your application, just a small thing. Then if you want to build your own large language model and foundation model, we have the infrastructure for you. We have all the components from CPU and GPUs and specialized infrastructure we can help you build these components. Going deeper into Q Developer and Q Business, touched on it. Business covers everywhere in the business. We have every employee, it can be a business analyst, or it can be a developer as well, like starting in a new company, or it can have some technical details and you want to have all these documentation behind the Amazon Q Business in a chat format where you can say, how can I start my own project? How can I publish my application to Git, etc. And it will give you the details. Q Developer is more focused on the developer and try to meet you wherever you are as a developer. Where we focus on the full software development lifecycle. We will focus on giving you the best-in-class security when you're trying to develop the code, and we'll show you that in the demo in a bit. We'll actually help you build in the AWS best practices in the Lambda architect framework. Where are we in Amazon Q Developer, or where is it available? We are in the AWS console. You've probably seen it. It's the chat thing on the side. When you have on the right-hand side, you click on the icon, there's a chat thing comes in. You can ask questions about your AWS infrastructure, and it will actually read what do you have, how many EC2s I have, what's my spending this month. We are also in IDEs. We try to meet you wherever you are. If you're in IntelliJ, JetBrains, family of IDE, or if you have VS Code or Eclipse, we also have Kiro, our standalone agentic IDE. We have that as well for you. You can use all of these to use Amazon Q. And Q is a bit separate from Q, but it's part of the GenAI family we have. And AWS documentation, again, we have the small icon. You can click on it and ask a question about the documentation. We're in a mobile app if you use a mobile app to access the AWS console. We're in Slack and Teams if you're using Slack and Teams to connect to your AWS environment. Again, you can ask a question about your environment through Slack and Teams. You can say, what is my S3 bucket usage, or how many S3 bucket I have in this region? And this will give you the answer. We also have a partnership with GitLab, GitLab Duo, where you can have some of the capability of Amazon Q Developer and GitLab.
Fantastic. Let's say GenAI is everywhere, right? Like we made it accessible because different personas, different people have different reasons to use to get help, right? And GenAI is there to help them wherever they are. And thank you for that. For the previous slide, we were showing all the different layers at which, like, the GenAI stack, from all the way from even building the models to all the way at the top where you're simply making use of a custom built model for a specific use case. In this case, we are mainly going to be, I'm assuming, using the Amazon Q developer, which is on IDEs, which is available on IDEs using, including VS Code. I think many of the other products like JetBrains products and so on, I believe, right? And yes, you did touch upon Kiro a little bit. Maybe this is a question to Pritham. how can we, as as developers, how can they kind of leverage Kiro while they are also using Amazon Q developer? Like, what's the difference? So, like, how does that play a role in a developer's workflow?
Sure. I want to step back a little bit and answer first the agentic side, right? So what MJ showed us is we have a lot of chat components. We can chat. Essentially, it's a question answer. You're asking something, you're getting a response. Now, agentic development, of which both Q and Kiro facilitate, is essentially you give a goal. Like you want to accomplish something, debug something, create a boilerplate app, generate tests. These are all goals. You're not telling how it should be done or giving a detailed plan. So an agentic development, whether with Q or Kiro, would be that the agent will take a goal from you with a prompt, and it will execute, make a plan, and execute them independently. So this is where agentic development is really interesting, because now we can give goals rather than how it should be done. The agent then, with its tools, we're going to touch in about MCP and things like that in a moment, that it will have tools and it will automatically figure out what tools to call to execute that goal. And that's really powerful. Now, Q, we have Q as a CLI and a plugin, etc., which is more in line with vibe coding, as well as like contextual prompts. You can design your prompts. Kiro, which is a fairly new product we have in beta right now. Kiro lets you actually take your goals in a very strict specification format, which is to say a spec-driven development, rather than vibe code constantly like, hey, I want to do this, tweak this, back and forth with prompts. We all have worked on that. Kiro allows you to actually define upfront, like, what is your goal? And Kiro generates that goal into a specification format, which is just a markdown file. Today, we're not going to go into the Kiro aspect fully yet, but thanks for bringing that up. We're going to see mostly Q, especially on the Q CLI, which is my favorite.
Awesome. Yeah, that's. Thank you for those details. I think that was quite useful to understand. I've been playing around with Kiro a little bit, and I really like it. And it seems like it's not just me that who likes it. And I was on the Kiro subreddit a while ago, last week or something like that, and I saw a lot of people really enjoying using it. And one of the comments that kind of stood out for me was that, hey, I finally used Kiro, and then I now have a completely different understanding of how software development should work, and I am more mature as a result of using Kiro, which is great, which is an amazing positive impact that it has made on developers. Awesome. All right, now forget all of that. We're not going to do Kiro right now. We're going to talk about how we can use Amazon Q Developer to accomplish some of the tasks that we have always been doing for many years, but in a better way, with better help, right? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so I have a small architecture in here. It's a very simple Lambda, and originally we wanted to air this during Amaya's birthday, so you'll see a lot of references to birthday, but we postponed it. The idea in here is to have a small birthday Lambda where you send name, and then it will reply back a happy birthday name. The application in here, as you can see, it's as simple as it can be. We actually ask you to develop it for us, keep it as simple as you can do, and then we'll enhance it later. So it created the Lambda, created the README, and also the template to deploy that stack. With that, one of the first thing you want to do as best practices, so I'm flipping in here to my CLI. I will start Amazon Q by typing Q in here. I have a shortcut. The white one is doing Q chat. Now I have Amazon Q loaded and ready to go. I will ask a simple question. These things, when we are starting developing, or you actually go to the AWS console and pick one of the example lambdas that you get it started, right? It's bare bones. It doesn't have a lot of things, and we want it to do better for us. So we can do something like, help me enhance this lambda I swear I know how to type. With logs and metrics. Great. So what else were you thinking? One KPI is the number of invocations. Add more KPIs. Well,
you misspelled KPIs. I'm guessing it's gonna figure it out. Well, let's see.
Let me fix it. I probably will. You'll see me misspelling a lot today. You see fit, and make the changes to the code. Now it's gonna go and ask me some questions, try to figure out, and then enter the name of the Lambda here in the present working directory. All right, found the Lambda. Now it will, after reading the Lambda, figure out where it can enhance that Lambda. And here's that enhanced version. As you can see, it's doing like a diff to me. There's a green, that's me new line added. Red, I'm scrolling a bit up, that line's deleted. And you can see in here, it changed a small or fairly small Lambda with a few changes and enhancement. I'll tell it, yes, go ahead and change it.
So this Lambda function already exists on your local machine, the files, right? Okay. And so when you said this Lambda, you didn't give it much context, but it still figured it out that those files that were locally, they were all Lambda functions.
Yeah, it asked me, like, where's the Lambda? Like I said in here, this present working directory. And okay, let me read what you have in this present working directory. I figured out, okay, this is the Lambda you're probably talking about, and let me fix it and enhance it for you. So I did ask for one KPI, if you remember. Like, it auto added other KPIs that itself fit. This is also maybe not the best practice, right? You need to be as specific as you can be. But this is just an exercise. Like we were going with the spec-driven development, right? We have in the spec, these are the APIs you want to add. Because if you don't be specific or you don't give it all the details, it will make things that might fit, right? You have the number of invocation. This is a good one. I asked for that one. Then it also added successful invocation, error count, and execution duration. These are all good, but I might not care about execution duration, right? So the more specific you'll be, the better the result you're going to be getting from your agent or agentic chat.
So prompt matters, like being specific. The better you inform the agent, the better output you get and more, maybe less rework.
Exactly. Yeah, the more complete picture. The best analogy I would give to most of the LLMs that are today, all of them are just graduated college. They are awesome. They aced all their classes. They know programming very well, but this is their first job, real job, right? And if you don't give them all the details, what you want to do, they will go and Google it and figure things out, but might be not the thing you're asking for.
Right.
It will try make something up or try to fill the blanks where you didn't provide a context. So guide them as much as you can, just like you would do someone who just graduated an intern or someone in his first or her first job.
Yeah, the rule of thumb is like the more detail, the better. The more generic, we're going to get not a great quality response. So instead of spending 10 different prompts to mean the same, let's try to get the prompt as early as we can, and that way the LLM can respond more accurately.
Right. I can equate this to, like, in agile development. You write user stories, and then the more specific you are with user stories, like what exactly a user is trying to accomplish and what the outcome is expected and how the application or particular action is supposed to behave, you're at the end of the sprint, you're going to get exactly what you asked for. Otherwise, now you're going to get completely messed. It's the same logic, isn't it? You just communicate well, so you get better results.
Exactly. Yeah. So now we enhance the code, and this is a good start, right? You want to enhance the code. Now your code is actually adding more or sending more details out from the Lambda into your CloudWatch or whatever you're using for your application metrics. Now let's enhance the actual CloudFormation. So same thing, help me enhance the CloudFormation to add CloudWatch alarms and dashboards. So we're sending the details. Now let's do something with these details. Right? Let's build the CloudWatch alarms. Let's build dashboards and enhance the full operation of this Lambda based on the changes we made earlier. So I took the context of what we've done before. Before I say yes, I'm just going to show you the thing I'm interested in the most. If you spend any time trying to do the CloudWatch dashboard as infrastructure as a code, this syntax is a bit hard, at least for me, where you have to specify the X and Y, you have to specify the width and height, and it's a bit, you have to be very
You have to know
detail-oriented
what you're
with it.
doing. That's what you're saying. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. So it did all of these things. You see all the alarm that based on the metrics we sent earlier, because it kept the context of what we talked about earlier, the error rate, the duration, and all of the other ones, right? So I'm going to say yes. Now it wrote the template, and it will give me a summary of what's done. And now we have the full Lambda and the CloudFormation ready to be deployed and updated in our AWS environment.
This is great, MJ. So you're saying we can actually generate from an existing Lambda a set of alarms and dashboards out of the box with Q.
With Q, yeah, you saw me, 2 simple prompts. It enhanced the Lambda itself and then enhanced the CloudFormation, the alarm, and the created dashboard out of this.
I'm thinking aloud here. Do you think we could continue? We don't have to do that now, but can we potentially ask more? We want more dashboards, and more alarms. Can we ask Q to suggest what more can be done? We have 3 now.
Yeah. Suggest more alarms and dashboards we can.
For probably performance or something like. Yeah, I see often customers have tons of dashboards, so I want to see if Q can help us here.
Yeah, so it started with the API gateway. That's interesting. Nice. So it's actually starting from the top, how you get in, the Lambda performance, success rate, then enhance the dashboard. So it's going all of these things. It is giving me the code now.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it already given me 2 or 3 that we didn't have before, and then a couple of enhancements on the one that it already created a minute ago.
Wonderful.
Yeah, this is this is pretty cool, actually. You do hear from customers every now and then. Customers want to engage with us to talk about, hey, I have these workloads, and what are those things that I need to monitor? How do I create this dashboard? And all those questions. All those questions are kind of self-service right now with this. It's pretty cool. All right, so now let's move on. Priyatham, you have that Lambda function deployed, it seems.
That's correct. Yeah. So let me switch to the Lambda function deploy. What I want to do now, we just saw MJ, enhance some metrics and dashboards, so more operational readiness, what I would call. But I want to go a few steps further and introduce what you might be familiar with, the AWS well-architected principles. In a nutshell, there are 6 different pillars. Sustainability is a new one. We've always had operational excellence, performance, security, reliability, and I often seem to miss something, one there, but there's one other, MJ, if you have in your mind. So my goal is now, can I use Q as my assistant to, instead of me having to navigate all of the well-architected principles, can I ask Q to give me some well-architected couple of pillars and then suggestions on this existing Lambda? So let me try that. And what I want to show you here is I want to show you the Lambda I deployed, the one that MJ showed. It's a very straightforward Lambda, nothing fancy here. And what I want to switch now is to go into my queue. So I'm in my queue, the project that we just shared, and I'm gonna paste instead of typing, so that it'll be easier. So what I want to ask here is, can you review this Lambda that I just showed you? That's in US West 2. I want to specify region, otherwise Q will start looking for all regions. So again, like I said, you want to be very careful and be direct, right? So my prompt here, my prompt here is, and suggest well-architected review for latency and high performance execution of this function. Our Lambda is super straightforward. You can see it here. It's pretty vanilla. It's literally returning a response, taking an argument, returning response. So I expect a lot of enhancements that it will suggest. So I'm going to run this. And while it's running, MJ, what's the coffee you had today? Want to share something about? Because this is our common task when vibe coding. We have to get a lot more coffee. I have tea myself.
Yeah. So before we go there, the cool thing in here, you mentioned something about the region. If you don't provide it, it will go and to do scanning and one couple of the AWS list operation. It will figure it out, but it will go into stitching 3 or 4 different API calls behind the scene and give you the thing. A lot of the times I miss specifying what it is I'm looking for or where to look for, and I ended up spending 2 minutes just watching the screen fly by because it's doing a lot of API calls behind the scene.
Now, as you're seeing, it is trying to get a lot of things done. What we haven't covered, and I want to touch a little bit, is if you notice early on, it was trying to fetch details from the MCP server. MCP is Model Context Protocol. You might have already heard about it, and I'll just briefly summarize this. When it was standard, essentially a protocol introduced by Anthropic. Right now, lots of organizations are contributing to it, AWS included. And essentially, it standardized the way LLMs interact with data outside. We call that process called tools. It's just a word called tools. It's confusing, I know. But essentially, how do you make an LLM that is already pre-trained with existing knowledge go out and fetch external knowledge? How does it know how to fetch this API and that API, parse it, and get a JSON back, and then have a natural language interface to it? All of that is actually manual. I remember doing this 2 years ago, and we had to codify this. And today with MCP, it is just out of the box. What vendors and library framework owners are doing, they're releasing a wrapper for their APIs, essentially annotating their API, fast API projects, annotating that with an MCP and releasing an MCP project. So what we've seen here in the past, I want to scroll up, it's a lot of scroll here, is that it was fetching from CloudWatch MCP. So that I had configured with Q. Q, you can configure as an MCP client. So I've configured CloudWatch and OpenSearch and a host of other things. So instead of Q going on the CLI and actually pasting raw AWS commands, it is actually making things much easier by talking to CloudWatch MCP server, getting the logs, getting the metrics, and then analyzing them before responding to our goal, which is well-architected review. Apparently, since we're talking, it actually gave me a lot of things. So let me just scroll back and see what it's given. So here we are. It says well-architected performance review for Sam Appert. They should have been your name, Imaya, but hey, it's a little too late. So it says, so I'm going to read out just the headings. Current performance profile. It's pointing out the memory, runtime, architecture profile, and it's given me quite a few things, in fact, telling me to upgrade Python promising 15 to 20% improvement for cold starts. Architecture migration is saying move to Graviton has better price performance and lower latency. Memory optimization, since it's a demo app, we just used 128 MB. It's ideally recommending more. Cold start optimizations, provision concurrencies, consider snap start when available for Python, connection pooling, and it goes on. And I know some of this myself, having done for a lot of customers, but sometimes I'm pretty surprised because I don't know, like for instance, snap start, I didn't know before. I was like, hey, what is this? I had to Google myself or look at our internal AWS repositories. Same thing next, monitoring observability. So I'm going to kind of scroll down now and look at what it's saying at the end, saying that the function is already well optimized, but these changes will be future-proof, provide a better observability. I want to do a follow-up question to it because it seems like there's some code changes and some config changes. So I want to say maybe ask, what are the options in these that don't require code changes? Config changes is fine because I feel like I want to maybe start with config changes and redeploy, and then if it's good, maybe then apply code changes. So let's see what Q has told me. Okay, so Q is pointing out, change the ARM to upgrade Python, concurrency controls. I can update SAM template directly with all of this. That's great. I don't have to make any code changes and get all these benefits apparently, right, MJ?
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Right. I mean, it's a straightforward. I mean, it's saying 20 to 30% performance improvement, 20% cost reduction.
To me, it's a no-brainer.
All you have to do is just ask.
Exactly. All we have to do is ask. That's right. Well said.
One cool thing in here, because the reason it tells you to increase the memory, because memory and CPU and Lambda increase together, can you ask it why you suggested to increase the memory? We know the answer, right? But does it know why was the reason? What was the reason of the
What is the
increase?
problem? I'll type it. Do you want to ask the question?
Just why do you recommend increasing the memory?
Recommend increasing the memory.
That's a good point. Typically, you're always looking at numbers going down, assuming that it's.
Actually, it doesn't recommend increasing the memory. Keep
Okay.
it the same. Okay.
I actually don't recommend increasing the memory. Okay.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, great. So just to cover, just stepping back, we can technically ask well-architected principles on it. We can go, in fact, spend a whole half day on this workshop just by driving well-architected principles on the 6 pillars. But I hope this was a good example to show, at least with a couple prompts, like what is possible. And then from here on, with the interest of time, I don't want to apply these, but I can actually drill down and then like, can you generate a plan for me to do each step by step and write tests, and I want to deploy it and test it. I can actually do that, which is what I would do if this is a production app. So on to you, the next one, MJ.
Yeah, sure. So we talked about a couple of the pillars in here. We'll ask you to do the same exercise and enhance from security and availability. We'll see what it will come back with. You see, it's fast because a lot of the context is in the memory already. It already knew what I was talking about before, and now it's suggesting to me how can we enhance it from security. It's flying by, but I'm not sure if he managed to catch that. It's telling me to include WAF, put out like a firewall, and for availability enhancement, I need to add a multi-AZ deployment, enhancing monitoring for availability. So all of these things that's suggestions that's coming for both security and availability. Additional security parameter, well, break it down to different environment, allowing curve, and best practices, and this is the output that is recommend as we need to enhance from the Lambda. I can tell it now, invite it to the cloud formation, and it will, instead of just you have it on the screen, it will actually update the cloud formation for you.
Oh, the file that you already have.
The file I already have.
And you can probably ask it once again after it does, like, hey, can you validate the CloudFormation file? And then maybe it'll just do a validation of its own work. And then once you're confident, then you can probably apply, right? That's probably
this is actually one of the good practices when you do a task, especially when you go into task-driven development. You have the task that do the thing, and then another task either right after it or right after you do a bunch of tasks to go ahead and validate if everything is done successfully or according to plan. So yeah, now I'm going to write to the Lambda. And here is all the changes that it's implemented.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
And now another thing, now we have created this Lambda and we enhanced it from security and enhanced reliability and other things. I want to visualize this. So help me draw I know how to type as well. I/O diagrams for this Lambda.
No way.
So now,
are you saying it's going to generate a draw IO diagram for me?
yes.
Wow.
So draw IO is XML based, right? So it can actually go ahead and do XML for you. So now it's going to go create the draw IO. I know we have MCP servers. I'm one of the people who are a big fan of the CLI because you can do a lot without MCP. But the MCP server that we have in our AWS SQL can do fancier images. This one is just going to be more simplistic icons. But yeah, you can see in here, it did the architecture. It's going to continue. It's going to do the security, the flows, and a few others. Monitoring.
So I'm dying to see the diagram.
The end result. Yep.
Same here, yeah. I think what'd be more exciting is like I have a diagram. This is my constant pain point. Like we always like do whiteboarding and then we end up writing a better version and draw IO, and then there's a drift between the diagram on day 1 and day 8. If I can just have QCLI keep updating that, that's amazing. Like I don't have to be out of sync.
Yeah. So we have this, and I actually, kind of funny enough, I don't have the draw.io plugin installed in VS Code, but I do have it on my gear. So you can see in here, I have a couple of diagrams, and I can visualize that. Let me see, I haven't done this in a bit. Here. And maybe this is not cooperating. Live demo.
There's like an extension, right?
It is an extension, yeah, but I haven't used it in a while, so I'm not sure how that works. But I can just open our internal Amazon Draw.io and then just open
the XML file there,
files.
and it'll render. Yeah.
Exactly. So open existing diagram, and then I'm navigating to the file, and I have the first one. And you can see in here, this is, that's the first one. It changed it from the initial draw you saw. I have a WAF now, and I have.
Can you zoom in a little bit? So
yeah. Here we go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's so much better.
I have the enhancement or the changes in here from the architecture. We have the WAF in front of it that wasn't there before. We have the CloudWatch metrics and dashboard. That's a new icon we didn't have before. And we have the letter Q, the SQS Q added in here. And if I open the other file, because it created two, if you remember, the monitoring one is this one. You can see in here it in details, it's telling me how the monitoring flow is going. Just in case I want to have that logged somewhere, how's the monitoring situation? Because we added a lot of these different metrics and logs and dashboard. This is the flow where we have structured logs going to CloudWatch logs, and we have the custom metrics going to CloudWatch metrics, and these are the alarms and the dashboard that we created out of this. It's a very simple call to the alarm, or using Amazon Q Developer, just draw.io diagrams for me. If I want to be more specific, draw me the security one for an example. It will draw a security diagram. This is important, especially when you're starting a new project and you want to have all the documentation to get the security approval, as an example. You need that diagram or whatever else you want to draw from a data flow, from the customer experience flow, etc.
Right.
Awesome.
And also, I mean, while this is really cool, I think one of the challenges that I have seen in my experience is that when you start something, yes, you're passionate, you go create these diagrams and whatnot, the project, is in progress, and then a lot of decisions being made, and then things change, and then nobody has any time to go update those architecture diagrams, and that knowledge is transferred to people's brains, and then that is not anywhere, written nowhere. And somebody new joins the team, and then nobody knows what's going on, right? But if you make these kind of tools, makes it so easy to kind of keep it up to date, right? And that alone is a big deal. That alone is a huge advantage to just ensure we have it live and updated all the time.
If you use Amazon Key Developer, there's a couple of concepts we have, like rules, and you can have certain things in the rules where say every time I update my architecture, go ahead and update my diagrams. So you can stitch things together or update my documentation, my README, right? So these are very important when you start adding rules and you start adding all the context. These are the contexts when I want to update something, keep these in mind, because that's all the different components all around us when you want to think about updates.
Right. We have a question here real quick. Maybe you can take this and then quickly jump if you want to take a look at it. Essentially, the question is about how, when you're doing a stress test on your environment, like how do you monitor your deployment and ensure that it has, HA configured properly, and if there are any gaps in the deployment?
My answer is wait another 8 minutes. I'm going to show you. This is part of my demo.
Perfect. This is awesome. This is exactly what we want. SK, you can't see your name. SK is all we can see, but thank you for that question.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'm going to switch to something more operational troubleshooting. We did well-architected reviews, generating things, generating diagrams. So it's more like preemptive. But what if something is on fire, which always happens? You're an on-call engineer, something is on fire. Typically, that means CloudWatch alarm goes off. So what we did is I just uploaded another broken Lambda alarm, I'll show you real quick. Essentially, I didn't give it a permission. I removed the get object permission. The Lambda is supposed to read from an S3 bucket. I said it doesn't have permission. So I kind of tweaked it to simulate that error. And then boom, I got an alarm. So what we're going to do now is, I know it's a simple example, but imagine a much more complex example like this. The goal is can Q detect what happened? And can Q actually fix it? So I'm going to ask Q right now. I have a Lambda that is failing in US West 2. Can you help me debug that? And one thing I want to say is when you're using agents like Q or any other agent, be very careful in telling do not make fixes. I recommend this highly because it can actually just go ahead and make fixes. And I do not recommend that. So making this prompt, do not make any fixes, just provide me the root cause analysis and recommendation for fix. So let's see what Q does. Again,
that's a great suggestion that you the caution. Actually, I am revamping an app right now, and yes, I can feel the pain. Sometimes he's like, "Oh wow, you already made the change. I don't want you to do it." So you go undo and then start over again.
Right. Well, it was pretty fast. It looks like the DApp is failing because access denied, and it's saying list only has list bucket, not get object. It actually detected exactly what went wrong, and also what the bucket is, S3. It actually looked at all of that, and a specific error access denied. It pulled from the logs, evidence. It's like a really thorough analysis by the way. It's like a solid SRE engineering job right here. And then the recommendation is hey, just put get object back and it'll be done. And I'm going to say, okay, that's great. Also, Q likes compliments. Always tell it's great when it's great. And if it's not, I say, hey, this is wrong. Great. Can you apply the fix? right? It's just very eager to apply the fix, and now it's going ahead and apply the fix. And I say, okay, I trust. T is trust, by the way, and perfect. And no, so it's not only applying and saying like, hey, I did it, but it's also checking what was fixed. So that's great. So hope that was helpful. What you just saw here was analyze something that went wrong with the alarm, and then debug that, and then get a root cause, review it, and then fix it. Now I'm going to switch gears from here, because what we just saw is a very simple birthday Lambda. I know a lot of you are thinking like, hey, this is so simple. I want something real complex. I want something that is real life example. Well, I don't have a real life example. I have a little more complex example for you folks.
Pritham, sorry, before you go there, there's a quick question Sam has about, can I do this with the read-only scoped AWS account to be safe? Maybe I can take a crack at it, but I'll let you guys answer if you want. I mean, essentially, we're not making any changes into the AWS account with this. Like what we're doing is we're using Q to create CloudFormation templates, change Lambda code, and like maybe create some dashboard templates and so on. We're not deploying anything yet. When Priyatham cautioned about, hey, make sure that you tell the agent that you don't want to actually make any changes, but you only want suggestions, essentially making changes locally. And if you you don't really need to have like a read-only AWS account, but it's all about like what you're doing locally. And once you're good with it, and obviously only then you will ask the agent to then go deploy or do something. That's a secondary step. But what right now, in the context of what we're talking about, is making changes locally. So I wanted to highlight that.
Yeah,
thank you, Sam, for that question.
Thanks, Sumaya. I just want to add on top that, like, obviously what we're showing here is more demo purposes, like having the CLIs and MCPs on our local. You do not want to do this in a production environment, right? So typically your MCP is probably in a secure container and has the right access scopes for it, and then you'll have very specific permission path for those. But we're not focusing that for today's demo.
Just want to add in here, because this is important what Sam is talking about. It will actually inherit your permission in here. So if my permission in this AWS account, as you can see what Pri was doing, it did update the AWS account in this case. It went and update IAM in there directly because he had the permission to do so. If you don't have the permission, then it wouldn't be able to do any of these operations. So it will inherit your permission, who you logged in here. So in this case, we have his AWS credential in the .aws folder, all pre-configured and ready to go. And it will take whatever permission he have in that AWS account. Again, this is a demo environment. We have admin access. We don't recommend applying the update directly. That's what he was mentioning. The goal is in here to update the CloudFormation and then apply the CloudFormation. Because if you run another command, I'll ask in here in queue, detect a drift, it will detect the drift and tells you it's different.
Awesome, thanks, MJ. So moving on to the slightly more complex example. So this example, super high level view here. As a client, I have a more complex Lambda consumer producer backed by DynamoDB. It is fronted by API gateway, and then I also added the application firewall on front of it. And then here's my client layer. I'm using QCLI, and I'm using two MCP servers, CloudWatch, which you just saw earlier, and also OpenSearch server. And on the right side, what I call is an observability layer. And I'm relying on OTel, OpenTelemetry. So typically, you'll have CloudWatch, your logs and metrics. And I've seen customers often use like OpenSearch for much more enhanced log analysis and dashboards as well. So I'm using that as an example here, using OTel, using a data prepper, ingesting logs into that. And so you can replace OpenSearch with anything else, like Splunk, Dynatrace, et cetera, or Prometheus. Like the mechanism is the same, that you're using OpenTel to move and investigate metrics, logs, and traces. So with that setup, I want to quickly show you. There's some dashboards I created in OpenSearch. So this is that OpenSearch. There's memory errors, throttle errors, timeout errors. I just ran some simulation earlier, like a couple hours ago, so you see a graph. Now, what I want to show you, it's actually going to answer SK's question, is I want to simulate. So for this example, I created some scripts. I'll super briefly show you those scripts. It's not that complex. So you can see, believe it or not, I did not write a single line of code. I use about 15 different prompts over a few days, and Q wrote me this beautiful 150-line Python code. What it does is essentially simulate all the top Lambda errors for timeout, memory, and throttling. And I can actually run this, and I'm going to show you now. And so it is hitting my producer. As you can see, I'm running that script and then saying memory and then request per second 30. So this is a simulation script. It is blasting my Lambda, and that's exactly what my stress test is. Ideally, I would put this on a CI/CD, right? So I've just run some tests. I'm going to stop that. Okay. And I will use throttles now. I'll now simulate some throttle errors.
Those emojis, they are coming from that script.
Yeah, the script creates great emojis to me. I love it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. For some reason, GenAIs love emojis.
Oh yeah. And one last thing I'll do is also API errors. I'm also making API attacks, so I'll create that as well. There we go. So it tried to simulate encoding, NoSQL, rate limit size attack, lots of stuff. So we just ran three different simulation attacks, and now I'm going to go back and refresh. It usually takes about a couple minutes to refresh. And while it's doing that, what I want to focus on is what can we now ask Q? Because a lot happened, right? I just want to make sure I'm on the right chat. Yeah. So what I'm going to ask is, show me the Lambda function that are consistently timing out and suggest optimization strategies. Because right now that seems to be the issue in US West 2 again. I just want to make sure it's direct. My goal is that I've come to this dashboard. I've seen these like dashboard like fire off, and I'm like, okay, I need to figure out what's going on. I'm an on-call engineer. Instead of going through all these logs, dashboards, and correlate them, I'm just going to ask Q, because Q is connected to both, and Q can actually figure out from the logs and metrics and traces like what is going on, and let's see what happens.
So just to be sure, so everybody understands, this is talking to the CloudWatch MCP server.
Yes, CloudWatch MCP server, OpenSearch server.
Oh, okay. And it's so the CloudWatch MCP server is what's making us have to get those logs, and it will analyze, right? Like the Lambda logs, for example, that's in CloudWatch logs.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's just making API calls dynamically, because this the LLM behind the scenes this is an agent, so it knows that it needs to go to the MCP server to sort of get the data that it needs, and then it supplies the data to the model for the model to process, and then as a result, what you get is what the suggestion is.
Yes. So essentially, like you said, you put it right. But what I want to stress on it is correlating between multiple logs, between the dashboards, between the logs, between the traces. It's actually correlating, and it's figuring out which one I should call. If I had to do this on my own, I will be manually looking at CloudWatch logs, metrics, dashboards, and then OpenSearch, and then have to go back and forth. Or I'm having an intelligent script. Most organizations probably have some automated scripts, right? So now we're moving from these automation scripts to much more like investigative analysis, assisted investigative analysis. And so that's what's happening. I know it's taking a little bit time. And I want to maybe switch here and see.
And I love how it's using the wide query language we have in the CloudWatch. That's another struggle I have when I try to query something and I need to find a wide syntax. It's using all of that, and it gave me or giving you the answer for it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, it's picking some. Okay, it's
So it's creating an alarm in CloudWatch, is it?
yeah.
Or okay.
So yeah. Okay, so I got something back while we are looking at it. Let's see, functions with performance concerns. So Amazon Q birthday demo and highest risk. It's probably it's pointing out what is the risk in each of the producer and consumer. It is giving me optimization strategies, immediate actions. So it's kind of going the code level, and also giving me. I did not ask Q again. If you remember, my prompt was very generic. If I had told Q very specific what I want, it will kind of drill down. And key findings. For some reason, okay, yeah, it's showing something else. So I'm going to give another prompt now to see when I
You
did the
didn't specify the
API.
Lambda, right? He said just Lambdas.
Oh, that's correct. Yes. So I want to do the security attacks and see what it's picking.
Also, it's going to look into WAF logs and do the analysis. So it knows you did not say WAF, but you just asked like, "Hey, find out the security things."
Yes.
How did you know that it has to go to the WAF? Like that's because it was able to read the CloudFormation template and find out that there is a WAF like rule configured in front of the Lambda function, so it has to go there. Is that why?
Great question there. It knows for two reasons. One, the obvious reason here is I'm actually running Q from my repository on my local, so it already knows my source code. This may or may not be always the case. Like depends on how you deploy the QCLI agent. Sometimes it'll have just the infrastructure and not the code. Sometimes it'll have both. In my case, I'm using both. So it knows that there's a WAF, and it actually helped me deploy CDK. So it's looking from the CDK that there's a WAF. So let's look at what it did. So I asked what happened in the last 1 hour. If you remember, there were 15 attacks, right? See, 15 attacks. And it figured out. It figured out by looking just the AWS CLI command and all the logs. I did not tell it anywhere. Now I want to pause here for a second before I read out this. I mentioned early on Agentic AI. The main difference is we're giving a goal. And in this case, Q, that is acting as an Agentic AI, has created a plan. It figures out what to execute, what tool, what MCP to call, and then achieve that goal. At least it thinks it achieves that goal. You can always correct it. And then it gave me back, right? The top attack types. It's pretty accurate. It shows my IP from San Francisco, from our office here, and it gave me solid recommendations, immediate actions. This is great, because I would have to write a report if something like this happens. Now I have a preliminary sort of report through which I can base out of. And I can also ask us, can you fix? And I think you get the idea from here, right? So you kind of go from here to incrementally apply individual fixes and then test it. And maybe even ask Q to generate a plan. So I'm going to pause there. Hopefully, SK, correct? Did that answer a question on simulation? How do you test? The key takeaway is like you can totally ask Q to help you with this.
Yeah, I think that's there. But he also has a question about like if we can have Q directly look at the pod logs. I don't have a straight answer. Maybe I can have you guys answer that. I have a solution in mind, but is there something that they can do?
Yeah, so there's a couple of strategy. If you're using a different service, a third party, that's also just find the MCP for that third party tool, and you can use similar prompt to tell it to use that tool to bring in the logs. But if you have the logs in hand or locally on your machine, you can just tell it, read the logs. As long as it's like a clear text format, it can read all the logs, pass through it, and give you the answer from the logs. So there's multiple strategy in here, what you can do.
Awesome. Thank you. Like Priyatham, looks like SK is happy with your answer. So that's pretty good. Thank you, SK, for confirming that.
So I think that's what we have today. I hope that was like a full tour of a super simple Lambda-based troubleshooting to a little bit more complex, and we saw how we generated documentation, well-architected principles, and also a couple of on-call scenarios. Again, you can make this as complex as you can. I would say, try your hands and try out some scenarios. It's not perfect. I don't think agents will ever be 100% accurate, but I think the goal is like, how can we make it more accurate and reduce confusion? And I think the answer is prompts, specs, MCP servers, being really clear on what you want and drive that, and always review the response. Yes.
So and ask Q to generate better prompt for you. That's another trick.
That's more than that.
This is awesome. This was great, guys. I don't think we're done here yet. Like, we can keep on going. We can probably do another one. We can come up with more stuff. There's just a lot more to communicate and connect and explore. Where can people learn more about this stuff? Like, can they connect with you on LinkedIn, or is there any resources that we can hand out? Like, maybe put in the description later on.
I think we could follow up with some resources, right?
Yeah. Okay. Connect to us on LinkedIn. We have the AWS documentation. Just look for the AWS Amazon Q developer documentation on how to get started with the CLI. But yeah, please feel free to connect to us and reach out.
Awesome. Thank you, folks. I really appreciate it. I think this was a fantastic show, and I learned a lot, and this was awesome. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks a lot.
Folks, thank you for watching. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.